I'm just going to run through quickly all of the approximation positions and stretch positions for the muscles that we didn't just make videos for. So upper trapezius, stretch position, arm at the side, stabilizing the shoulder, side bending the head with slight ipsilateral rotation, and you can get them to either push their shoulder up into your arm or their head laterally into your arm, or shoulder up into your hand or head into your arm to do the contract relax. The approximation position is shoulder elevation, cervical side bending. We talked about in class bringing this arm over, putting it on the shoulder, on the contralateral shoulder. This gives you a nice handle to control the limb with. Levator scapula, stretch position. You want to stabilize. I like to use the heel of my hand on the spine of the scapula. You're going to bring up into flexion, side bend, contralateral rotation, getting them to gently push their shoulder up into your hand. Good, and relax to contract. And an alternate hand position we talked about was taking your opposite side hand, reaching it underneath their neck to stabilize the shoulder here, supporting the head on your forearm so you can bring them up and do like a cross hands in this position. Approximating levator scapula is very similar, palpating your tender point, shoulder elevation, cervical side bend with slight contralateral rotation. Arm at your side again, please. I said arm at your side again, please.
Sorry.
Scalene stretch position. We want to firmly stabilize with the heel of your hand at the first rib. If you're trying to stretch middle scalene, it's just a straight side bend. Getting them to push their head into your arm to the right now to the left to contract. Good, and relax. For posterior scalene, we contralaterally rotate the neck and stabilize a little bit lower around where that scalene insertion is more. And for anterior scalene, we ipsilaterally rotate the neck, stabilize, and side bend. To approximate scalenes can be difficult because people don't like to relax their head. Palpating the tender area, bringing them into flexion, ipsilateral side bend, and then either contralateral rotation or ipsilateral rotation, depending on the fibers that are affected. Stretching SCM is technically contralateral side bend with ipsilateral rotation, stabilizing fascially at the insertion of the clavicle and the sternum. If you want, you can also just do an ipsilateral rotation to their easy barrier and getting them to contract by rotating in the opposite direction. So you turn your head to the right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And then turning a little further, making sure to never force the neck into any kind of rotation it doesn't want to go into. SCM is difficult to approximate as well, but if you wanted to try, we're going to do a pincer palpation of our tender spot. Bring them up into flexion, contralateral side bend, or contralateral rotation, contralateral side bend, bringing that origin and insertion closer together. Okay, prone forward, please. If you want to turn your head to the side, the other side. Okay, to stretch infraspinatus, just take the arm into internal rotation to its easy barrier and get them to press the back of their hand into you as the resistant force. To approximate infraspinatus, we palpate our tender spot, externally rotate, and usually adding just a little bit of adduction, you'll find the position of most relief. To stretch subscap, we're going to take them into external rotation, stabilizing at the shoulder, getting them to press down towards the floor, and then relax. If they're feeling any pinching in the shoulder, just back off of that one. Subscap is difficult to approximate. You can try prone or supine, but from a prone position, palpate in through the area here. And then grasping the humerus, we're going to passively internally rotate it from this position. Approximation for quadratus lumborum. We talked about a number of different strategies. So first, palpating our tender spot, we can either contact the ischial tuberosity and press up in order to introduce that side bending. You can grab the leg, abduct to about 45 degrees, use your arm or your hand in between your leg and their leg as a barrier, contact your tender point and push with your leg to cause that side bending. If they have any facet irritation or disc problems, it's going to be very uncomfortable for them though. My favorite was, I'm going to stand over here so you can see, palpating that tender area, reaching around to the contralateral ASIS and lifting up and towards yourself to introduce that side bend and rotation. This is biomechanically the easiest one and typically feels the best for the patient. Glute med approximation, palpating tender point, abducting to around 30-40 degrees, and then introducing either internal or external rotation depending on the fibers. I'll demonstrate those stretches when I turn over here. Piriformis approximation. The position is external rotation, but for a lot of people what you need to do is add a little bit of hip flexion as well. So if you abduct a little bit and slide the leg up, see how we get that hip flexion? Holding there. I'll just demonstrate again as I'm palpating. So palpate, externally rotate, slide into slight hip flexion. Biceps femoris, it's just palpating tender area, flexing the knee. Technically you could add a little bit of hip extension, but that's difficult to do and not usually necessary. Over onto your back, please. To stretch glute med, crossing the leg across, stabilizing, pushing into adduction, and getting them to push their leg into you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Stretch for quadratus lumborum. Talked about a few. Slide over to this side of the table just a little bit. Perfect. My favorite was the banana position. So bending the legs like this.